"Ethan, take this," Audrey Hart said softly, and she pushed a navy blue pencil case into my hands right outside the gym doors. For luck, the senior hallway was packed with students waiting for the National Scholar Qualification exam, clear plastic bags, sharpened pencils, calculators, admission tickets, nervous faces. Audrey stood in front of me with that perfect worried girlfriend look, her blonde hair pinned back, her lips trembling just enough to look sweet. Derek Walsh leaned against the trophy case behind her, watching my hands instead of my face. He smiled when I touched the zipper. That smile hit me harder than a slap. In my last life, I had taken this pencil case into the exam. 10 minutes after the proctor said begin, Derek had raised his hand and said he saw me checking notes. The proctor opened the pencil case, a hidden flap, tiny printed formula strips, a folded answer key for the practice packet. My name was ruined before the first question. Audrey had cried outside the office and said, "I don't know why he did it. I loved him. I lost my exam score, my scholarship interview, my graduation stage, and every teacher who had ever called me honest." Audrey walked clean across graduation with honors. Derek smiled beside her. This time, I looked down at the same pencil case and felt nothing soft. Audrey tilted her head. Audrey said gently, "You look pale. Are you nervous?" Derek laughed from the trophy case. Derek said, "Come on, Miller, your girlfriend gave you a lucky charm. Don't act like it's a bomb." I looked at him. I said, "Funny word." His smile twitched. Audrey touched my sleeve. Audrey whispered, "Please use it today. I stayed up decorating it for you." I turned the pencil case over. There was a tiny silver star keychain on the zipper. Same as before. Same fake sweetness. Same trap. Mike Reynolds walked up beside me, holding his clear bag in one hand and a chocolate milk in the other. Mike looked at the pencil case. Mike said, "Bro, we're allowed clear bags only. That thing looks like it has secrets." Audrey laughed lightly. Audrey said, "It's just pencils. Ethan always forgets extra pencils." I said, "Do I?" Audrey blinked. Derek pushed off the trophy case. Derek said, "What's the problem? You don't trust your own girlfriend." The students around us started listening. That was the point. Pressure in public. Make me accept it. Make me look cruel if I refused. I zipped the pencil case shut and put it under my arm. I said, "Thanks, Audrey." Her shoulders relaxed. Derek's smile came back. Audrey said, "Good, don't lose it." I looked at her bag on the bench beside the wall. It was open. Inside was her own clear plastic exam pouch with 2 pencils and a calculator. I said, "I won't." The first bell rang. Proctors called students toward the gym entrance. I stepped away from Audrey, then turned down the side hallway instead of joining the line. Mike followed instantly. Mike said quietly, "Bathroom." I said, "Evidence." We turned into the empty art hallway. I held the pencil case under the security camera, took out my phone, and started recording. Mike stopped chewing. Mike said, "That tone means somebody is about to get buried." I unzipped the pencil case. Inside were 4 pencils, 2 pens, 1 eraser, and a small ruler. Normal. Then I pressed the inside seam near the bottom. The hidden flap opened with a soft click. Mike's mouth dropped. Thin folded papers sat inside, printed in tiny font. Formula summaries, practice answer patterns, a page headed, Scholar Exam Logic Shortcuts. Mike whispered, "Holy hell." I pulled them out with 2 fingers and held them to the camera. I said clearly, "Audrey Hart handed me this pencil case at 7:42 a.m. outside the gym and asked me to use it for the National Scholar Qualification exam. Hidden compartment contains unauthorized notes." Mike lifted his own phone and started recording from another angle. Mike said, "Witness 1, Mike Reynolds confirming Ethan did not place those papers inside." I looked at him. He shrugged. Mike said, "I watch crime shows. I checked the papers. Some notes were printed. One formula card had handwritten corrections, Audrey's handwriting, small loops on the Y, sharp hooks on the T. I had seen it on her essays, birthday cards, and the breakup note she wrote after framing me in my last life." I put the notes back exactly where they were and closed the hidden flap. Mike's eyes widened. Mike whispered, "You're not turning it in right now?" I said, "Not yet." Mike said, "That's dangerous." I looked down the hallway toward the gym. Audrey stood near the door scanning the crowd for me. Derek stood beside her with his phone low. I said, "They planned a public arrest. We'll give them one." Mike stared at me for 2 seconds. Then he grinned. Mike said, "You scare me when you're calm." I took my own clear pencil bag from my backpack and handed it to Mike. Then I walked back toward the gym with Audrey's pencil case in my hand. Audrey saw me and hurried over. Audrey said, "Where did you go?" "They're checking bags." I held up the pencil case. I said, "Had to make sure everything was ready." Derek looked at the zipper. Derek said, "Good boy." Mike coughed behind me. I did not react. Audrey stepped close and whispered, "You promise you'll keep it with you?" I smiled just enough. I said, "I promise it won't leave the right bag." She did not understand. She smiled back. The bag check. Tables were set up outside the gym. 2 proctors, Ms. Harper, and Vice Principal Cole stood by the entrance. Only clear bags were allowed inside, but students could place personal items on a side table for after the exam. Audrey moved ahead of me, setting her tote on the bench while she searched for her admission ticket. Derek blocked the line for half a second by accidentally dropping his calculator. Everyone looked down. That was the same little distraction from my last life. Last time, he used it to make sure the proctor watched me. This time, I moved. I slipped Audrey's navy blue pencil case into her open tote, right beside her clear pouch, and took nothing from her that did not belong to me. It was the trap she had handed me. It went back to her. Mike stood behind Derek, filming over his shoulder. Audrey found her ticket and lifted her clear pouch. She did not check her tote. Derek picked up his calculator and looked at me. Derek said, "You ready, Miller?" I held up my own clear plastic bag, 2 pencils, approved calculator, ID, admission ticket, nothing else. I said, "Very." Derek's eyes flicked to my hands. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Audrey stepped to the table. Proctor Ellis checked her clear pouch and waved her forward. Vice Principal Cole pointed to her tote. Cole said, "Personal items on the side table. Leave everything zipped." Audrey placed the tote on the side table. The navy pencil case sat visible at the top. I saw Ms. Harper glance at it. She recognized it from Audrey's hand earlier. Then Derek did what he had done before. He raised his hand before we entered the gym. Derek said loudly, "Mr. Cole, I think someone has unauthorized materials." The line froze. Audrey's face went still. She looked at Derek, then at me. Derek pointed toward me, but his finger slowed when he saw my clear bag. Cole said, "Who?" Derek blinked. Derek said, "I saw Ethan with a non-clear pencil case." I lifted my clear bag higher. I said, "This is all I'm carrying." Mike said from behind him, "I also saw Audrey give Ethan a pencil case. Maybe check where it went." Audrey's head snapped toward him. Audrey said sharply, "What are you implying?" Ms. Harper stepped forward. Ms. Harper said, "Everyone pause. No one enters." Mr. Grant appeared from the counseling office door like he had been waiting for the alarm. Mr. Grant said, "What is happening?" Derek forced a laugh. Derek said, "I'm just trying to protect exam integrity." Cole looked at the side table. Cole said, "Whose navy pencil case is that?" Audrey said too fast, "Not mine." The hallway went silent. Ms. Harper looked at her. Ms. Harper said, "Audrey, I saw you holding it earlier." Audrey's mouth opened. Derek said, "It was Ethan's. She gave it to him." I said, "Correct." Audrey gave it to me. Audrey pointed at me. Audrey said, "Then why is it not with you?" I looked at the tote. I said, "Because I don't bring unknown materials into a national exam." Cole picked up the navy pencil case. Audrey stepped forward. Audrey said, "Don't open that. It's private." Cole looked at her. Cole said, "Private items involved in an exam integrity report may be inspected." Derek's face turned pale. Mr. Grant raised a hand. Mr. Grant said, "Perhaps we should handle this privately after the exam." I said, "No." Derek made the accusation publicly. Mike said, "And I'm still recording." Cole unzipped the pencil case. Pencils, pens, eraser, ruler. He looked unimpressed. Derek relaxed for half a second. I said, "Check the inner bottom seam." Audrey whispered, "Ethan." Cole pressed the seam. The hidden flap clicked open. The papers slid out onto the table. The hallway stopped breathing. Ms. Harper picked one up by the corner. Ms. Harper said, "Unauthorized notes." Audrey backed up. Audrey said, "No, no, I've never seen those." Derek stepped away from her like the pencil case had caught fire. I held up my phone. I said, "I recorded the contents before bag check." I also recorded Audrey handing it to me and asking me to use it. Audrey looked at me with wide, wet eyes. Audrey whispered, "You set me up." I stepped closer, but kept my hands visible. I said, "No, I returned your setup." The words hit her hard. Student stared. Someone whispered, "Damn." Audrey's breathing changed. Audrey shook her head fast. Audrey said, He planted it in my bag." Mike raised his phone. Mike said, "Wide shot says he put back the pencil case you gave him. Want to watch it in slow motion?" Derek snapped, "Shut up, Reynolds, MS." Harper turned to Derek, MS. Harper said, "You reported unauthorized materials before any proctor saw anything. How did you know?" Derek froze. Cole looked at him. Cole said, "Answer." Derek said, "I saw Ethan with the case." I said, "Then why did you point at me after I had a clear bag?" Derek said nothing. Audrey grabbed the edge of the table. Her face drained of color. Audrey said, "I can't miss this exam, my application depends on it." MS. Harper looked at the hidden papers. MS. Harper said, "So did Ethan's." Audrey's mouth trembled. Mr. Grant stepped between them. Mr. Grant said, "We need to avoid causing unnecessary damage to student futures before we understand intent." I turned to him. I said, "Last time, intent didn't matter when it was my future." He frowned. Mr. Grant said, "Last time, I did not answer." Principal Marsh came from the office after Cole radioed her. She looked at the notes, the pencil case, Audrey's tote, Derek's white face, and my clear bag. Principal Marsh said, "Audrey Hart, Derek Walsh, Ethan Miller, office, now." MS. Harper, "Bring the materials. The rest of you, enter the exam." I said, "I'm taking the exam." Principal Marsh looked at me. I held up my clear bag. I said, "I have approved materials, my admission ticket, and no violation. If you pull me out, they win." MS. Harper said, "He is correct. Ethan should sit for the exam unless there is evidence against him." Audrey shouted, "There is evidence, he touched it." I said, "Because you handed it to me." Mike said, "On video." Cole looked at Principal Marsh. Principal Marsh took a breath. Principal Marsh said, "Ethan sits for the exam. Audrey and Derek remain outside pending review." Audrey's knees gave slightly. She caught the table. Derek cursed under his breath. I walked through the gym doors with my clear bag while Audrey cried behind me. This time, I sat down. This time, I opened the test booklet. This time, when the proctor said begin, nobody reached into my future and tore it in half. The exam lasted 3 hours and 20 minutes. I finished with 18 minutes left and checked every answer twice. The room smelled like pencil shavings, stress, and old gym floor polish. I could feel whispers from the hallway through the walls, but I did not turn my head. When time was called, I placed my pencil down and handed in the booklet. Mike waited outside with both phones charged and the expression of a man who had swallowed fireworks. Mike said, "You finished," while the office turned into a funeral home. I said, "Audrey." Mike whistled low. Mike said, "Full collapse, tears, denials." Then Derek tried to pretend he was just a concerned citizen. Harper asked him how he knew to report the case. He looked like his brain disconnected from Wi-Fi. I adjusted my backpack. I said, "Where are they now?" Mike pointed toward the main office. "Still in there." Parents called. Grant sweating. Principal Marsh using her serious voice. We walked toward the office, but Audrey's mother arrived first, heels striking the tile like a judge's hammer. Mrs. Hart rushed past us and snapped, "Where is my daughter?" Derek's father arrived 2 minutes later in a gray suit, talking into his phone. Mr. Walsh said, "Do not answer anything without me present." Dad arrived 10 minutes later, truck jacket dusty from the freight yard. Mom arrived from the hospital still in her work shoes. Mom hugged me once, then asked, "Did you take the exam?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She hugged me again. Dad looked through the glass office wall at Audrey crying into a tissue. Dad said, "That the girl?" I said, "Yes, sir." Dad said, "Looks like the trap snapped on the wrong leg." Mike whispered, "Mr. Miller, that was cold." Dad said, "Truth has weather." Principal Marsh called us in after Audrey's parents and Derek's father took seats. The pencil case sat in a clear evidence bag on the conference table. The hidden notes sat in another. Audrey sat with her arms folded tight across her stomach. Derek sat beside his father, jaw clenched. Mr. Grant stood near the wall pretending not to choose a side. MS. Harper sat with a laptop open. Principal Marsh began. Principal Marsh said, "We need to establish possession, transfer, and intent." Mrs. Hart pointed at me. Mrs. Hart said, He admitted he moved the pencil case into Audrey's bag, I said. I returned the pencil case Audrey gave me after documenting that it contained hidden unauthorized notes. Mrs. Hart snapped, returned, you hid it in her bag. I opened my phone, I said. Audrey told me to keep it with me. Derek reported unauthorized materials before anyone else knew about the compartment. Audrey denied owning it, then called it private when Mr. Cole opened it. That is all on video. Mr. Walsh leaned forward. Mr. Walsh said, young man, you seem very prepared for an innocent student. Dad looked at him. Dad said, innocent students learn to be prepared around guilty ones. Mr. Grant cleared his throat. Mr. Grant said, we must be careful. Ethan did handle the item. Audrey may have given him a gift without knowing what was inside. Audrey grabbed that line like a rope. Audrey said, yes, that's what happened. I bought it online. I didn't know. Ms. Harper turned the laptop around. Ms. Harper said, then we should review the video. The first clip showed Audrey handing me the pencil case. Her words were clear. Please use it today. I stayed up decorating it for you. Mike's angle showed Derek watching my hands. The second clip showed me opening the hidden compartment in the empty art hall. Mike's witness statement was on camera. The third clip showed the bag check and Derek reporting me. The fourth showed the pencil case in Audrey's tote. Principal Marsh looked at Audrey. Principal Marsh said, did you decorate the pencil case? Audrey whispered, I added the keychain. Ms. Harper picked up the note with handwriting. Ms. Harper said, these corrections are handwritten. Audrey said quickly, not mine. I took a birthday card from my backpack. Mom looked at me. I said, she wrote this last month. I placed it beside a photocopy of the formula card. Same Y, same T, same slanted capital E. Audrey stared at the table. Mrs. Hart said, handwriting can be similar. Mike said from the side chair, so can crimes when rich kids share Pinterest. Principal Marsh said, Mike raised both hands. Sorry. Evidence only. Mr. Walsh turned to Derek. Mr. Walsh said quietly, did you know about the compartment? Derek said, no. Ms. Harper clicked another file. Mike's hallway video zoomed in on Derek texting before bag check. The recipient name was Audrey, visible for a split second when she opened her phone. The message preview said, make sure he has it before I report. Audrey's mother gasped. Derek lunged forward. Derek shouted, that's not clear enough. Mike smiled. Mike said, I enhanced nothing. Your stupidity came in HD. Principal Marsh stood. Principal Marsh said, Derek Walsh, enough. Officer Lane was called because exam materials and false reporting could involve outside scholarship authorities. The National Exam Board was notified. Audrey was placed under immediate exam disqualification pending review. Derek was removed from the testing site report as a witness and became part of the investigation. I remained a valid test taker. Audrey heard those words and broke. She slammed both hands on the table. Audrey screamed, he was supposed to get caught. He always gets away with acting better than everyone. The room froze. Mrs. Hart whispered, Audrey. Audrey covered her mouth, but it was too late. Mike's eyes went wide. Dad said quietly, there it is. Principal Marsh asked, Audrey, what did you just say? Audrey shook her head, sobbing. Audrey said, I didn't mean it. I stood. I said, you meant the plan. You just didn't mean to say it. Audrey bent over, crying so hard the chair shook. Derek stared at the wall like he could disappear into it. Mr. Grant looked sick. By lunchtime, the school knew enough to turn the hallways electric. Nobody had the official report, but everyone had seen Audrey escorted out by her mother, Derek arguing with Cole, and me walking out with my exam receipt. The forum filled with guesses. Audrey cheated. Derek snitched wrong. Ethan planted it. Pencil case scandal. Mike wanted to post everything instantly. I told him to wait until the exam board confirmed my status. He looked wounded. Mike said, you are denying the public art. I said, I am preserving the case. He sighed, fine, responsible revenge. Audrey did not wait. At 2:14, she posted a story from home. Her face was tear-streaked. Her voice shook. Audrey said, I was framed today by someone I trusted. I cannot say more, but please pray for truth. Derek reposted it with, some people hate seeing a good girl win. That was the trigger. Mike looked at me across the cafeteria table. I nodded once. He uploaded the hallway clip of Audrey handing me the pencil case, then the art hallway evidence clip, then the bag check clip, then the office audio where Audrey screamed, "He was supposed to get caught," he captioned it, "Truth prayed back." The school forum crashed for 3 minutes. When it came back, Audrey's story had already been screen recorded beside the office audio. Comments turned vicious fast. Some were fair, some were cruel. I posted one statement from my own account. "Do not threaten Audrey or Derek, the evidence is enough." Mike read it and groaned. Mike said, "You are the only person I know who writes safety disclaimers during revenge." I said, "Evidence works better when it doesn't look like a mob." By evening, local student pages picked it up. Top senior's girlfriend allegedly plants cheat notes in his exam bag. Then a larger page made it worse for Audrey. Influencer student caught after cheating trap backfires. Audrey had built a perfect academic girlfriend brand online. Study tips, college countdown, cute couple photos with me when it helped her look grounded. She had used my notes, my flashcards, my late-night editing, and my clean reputation. Now people replayed every old post. One video from February showed her saying, "My boyfriend keeps me honest." Comments filled with, "Apparently not." Another showed Derek joking in the background of one of her study streams. People clipped it and asked why Derek was always there when I was not. By midnight, Audrey deleted 3 posts and turned comments off. Derek posted, "Edited videos don't tell the whole story." Mike replied, "Then post the part where you don't say, make sure he has it." Derek blocked him. At home, Mom made tea no one drank. Dad sat across from me and said, "You did move the case into her bag." I said, "Yes, sir." Dad nodded slowly. Dad said, "Could bite you." I said, "I documented why." Dad said, "Good, never touch a snake without showing who threw it first." Mom said, "I hate that sentence." Dad said, "Still true." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. A text appeared. "Take the videos down or your scholarship will hear you planted evidence." I showed Dad. He smiled without humor. Dad said, "And there's the next snake." The final school hearing happened Friday morning. Audrey had been suspended from exam-related activities. Derek had been barred from senior advisory spaces. Mr. Grant had sent an email asking all parties to lower the temperature, which meant stop making rich families uncomfortable. Principal Marsh scheduled the hearing with the District Academic Integrity Officer, Dr. Levin. The National Exam Board joined by video. Audrey came with her parents and a lawyer. Derek came with his father and a lawyer who looked like he hated teenagers. I came with my parents, Ms. Harper, and Mike as a witness. The pencil case, notes, videos, screenshots, order records, and handwriting samples were all entered. Audrey's lawyer tried to make the case about me moving the pencil case. Lawyer said, "Ethan Miller knowingly placed unauthorized notes into Audrey Hart's bag." I said, "After Audrey knowingly placed them into my hands and told me to use them." Lawyer said, "You could have immediately surrendered the item." I said, "And then Derek would say I planted it after opening it." Instead, I documented the contents, preserved the item, and allowed the planned report to reveal who knew what. Dr. Levin looked at me. Dr. Levin said, "You understand that was risky." I said, "Yes, sir." "So was trusting the people who framed me." Audrey looked up sharply. Dr. Levin asked, "Framed you?" I said, "I mean the attempt this morning." Mr. Grant watched me too closely. Audrey's lawyer said, "Audrey purchased a pencil case as a gift. She did not know about hidden materials." Ms. Harper opened the order record. The pencil case had been bought from a specialty online shop that advertised a hidden compartment. The account email was Audrey's secondary email, the one she used for her study brand. The shipping address was her house. The keychain was added in a photo Audrey had posted privately to Derek with the message, "He'll think it's cute." Derek's lawyer objected to the screenshot source. Mike said, "Derek showed Tyler in the locker room. Tyler sent it to 3 people. 3 people sent it to me because Derek has the security habits of a goldfish." Principal Marsh told Mike to stop editorializing. The screenshot stayed under review but the order record stood. Then the handwriting comparison came. Audrey's handwritten corrections matched strongly enough for school disciplinary review, not criminal court, school review. That was all needed. The exam board representative asked Audrey directly, "Did you create or knowingly possess the unauthorized notes?" Audrey cried. Audrey said, "I was under so much pressure." Her lawyer put a hand on her arm. Audrey continued anyway. Audrey said, "Ethan was going to beat me. Everyone expected me to be perfect." Derek said if Ethan got flagged, I'd keep my recommendation advantage. Mrs. Hart covered her mouth. Mr. Hart stared at the table. Derek's father turned red. Derek snapped. "Don't put that on me," Audrey shouted back. "You told me to do it," Derek said. "You made the notes," Audrey said. "You told me when to report," Derek said. "Because you said he'd carry it." The room went silent except for Mike whispering. "Teamwork, Dr. Levin looked at both attorneys. "I believe we have enough." Mr. Grant stood. Mr. Grant said, "These are young people under intense pressure. We should consider restorative options that do not permanently damage their futures." Mom turned to him. Mom said, "You wanted permanent damage when it was my son." Mr. Grant said, "That is not accurate. I pulled out the printout from my last life. Can't, need not. Instead use earlier email. Let's create actual evidence." Mr. Grant had drafted, "Suspend Ethan pending exam board review," before watching full evidence. Need introduce. I say, at 8:11 this morning, before any review, you emailed Principal Marsh recommending my temporary removal from the exam list based on Derek's report. Ms. Harper placed a printed email on the table. Mr. Grant's face went gray. Ms. Harper said, "You copied me by mistake." Principal Marsh read the email and closed her eyes. Dad said, "Permanent enough." Dr. Levin took the paper. Mr. Grant sat down. The decision came in writing by 3 p.m. Audrey Hart disqualified from the National Scholar Qualification Exam, suspended from senior honors, academic integrity violation entered into school record, all college recommendation packets updated. Derek Walsh, disciplinary violation for conspiracy to falsely report exam misconduct, intimidation, and interference with National Exam Administration, senior privileges suspended pending board review. Ethan Miller, cleared, exam valid, scholarship materials unaffected. Mr. Grant, removed from scholarship. Advisory duties pending personnel review. Audrey received the decision in the office. I was in the hallway when she opened the envelope. She read the first page, then dropped into the chair like her bones had been cut. Audrey whispered, "No, no, no, no." Mrs. Hart tried to hold her. Audrey pushed her away and looked at me through the glass wall. Audrey screamed, "You ruined me." I opened the door before anyone stopped me. I said, "No. I gave back what you gave me." Audrey covered her ears and sobbed. Derek left by the side exit with his father. Mr. Grant shut his office door and did not come out for the rest of the day. The internet turned Audrey into a lesson faster than the school could control. Her old study brand collapsed first. Students found clips where she joked about carrying Ethan socially while he carried her academically. They found live streams where my notes sat beside her laptop. They found a deleted canned day where someone asked if I helped her study, and she said, "He tries, but I mostly teach myself." Mike posted one side by side. My handwritten calculus summary from January, Audrey's solo study guide, from February, same mistakes, same examples. He captioned it, "Independent study, borrowed handwriting." Audrey lost followers by the hour. Her brand partnership with a college planning app froze her account. Her early admission ambassador offer went under review. Her top choice university sent a conduct inquiry. Derek's name spread too because his texts made him look like the rich boy manager of a cheating operation. A local commentary channel called the story "The Pencil Case Trap." That phrase stuck. People made jokes, some cruel, some deserved, a few went too far. I reported threats when I saw them. Audrey posted a 90-second apology Sunday night with comments disabled. She said, "I made a mistake because of pressure." She did not say my name. She did not say she tried to frame me. She did not say Derek helped. The backlash doubled. Ms. Harper told me Monday morning, "Do not let the internet make you careless. The official record matters most." I said, "Yes, ma'am." Audrey came to school halfway through the day with no makeup and no friends around her. The hallway fell quiet. Someone whispered, "Cheat queen." Ms. Harper snapped from her classroom door, "No harassment in my hallway." Audrey looked at her, surprised. Ms. Harper said, "Accountability is not permission for cruelty." Audrey nodded once and kept walking. She found me by my locker after fifth period. Mike was there, of course, eating chips like the hallway was a theater. Audrey said quietly, "Can we talk?" I said, "Here." She looked at Mike. Audrey said, "Alone?" Mike said, "History suggests no." Audrey closed her eyes. Audrey said, "I'm not going to accuse you again." I said, "You don't get credit for skipping round two." She flinched. Audrey said, my college applications are dying. I shut my locker. I said, mine almost did. Audrey whispered, you still took the exam, you're fine. I looked at her until she stopped moving. I said, because I caught you. Her face twisted. Audrey said, Derek pushed me. He said you'd always land on your feet. He said I needed one clean advantage. Mike said, you call framing your boyfriend clean? Audrey snapped, stay out of it. Mike held up one chip. Mike said, no. I adjusted my backpack. Audrey stepped closer. Audrey said, if you write a statement saying you don't believe I meant to destroy your future, maybe the universities will see it as pressure. Not character, I said, but you did mean to destroy my future. Her eyes filled. Audrey said, I panicked. I said, you printed notes, hid them, gave me the case, confirmed I would carry it, had Derek report me, then lied when it failed. That's not panic, that's a schedule. Mike whispered, a criminal calendar. Audrey's face hardened. Audrey said, you used to love me. I said, you used to use that. She slapped me. The hallway gasped. My face turned with the hit. Mike caught my arm. Before I could step back into a locker, Vice Principal Cole rounded the corner and saw Audrey's hand still raised. Cole said, office, now. Audrey stared at her palm like it belonged to someone else. I touched my cheek. I said, add it to the record. She broke again, crying while Cole escorted her away. Derek tried the family pressure route next. He waited until Tuesday evening outside Lawson's garage, where I worked after school. His black SUV blocked the side exit. Mr. Lawson was inside, arguing with a transmission. Mike was sweeping the same corner for 20 minutes because he said stakeouts required props. Derek stepped out wearing a hoodie and the kind of anger rich kids get when rules start applying. Derek said, you need to stop. I kept 12 feet between us under the floodlight. I said, you came to my job to ask nicely. Derek pointed at me. Derek said, Audrey is finished. My dad is getting calls. Grant is under review, all because you couldn't just take a hit and move on. Mike's broom stopped. Mike said, he was supposed to take a cheating accusation for your girlfriend. That's your business model. Derek ignored him. Derek said, my father knows people on scholarship boards. Character concerns matter. If they hear you planted evidence in Audrey's bag, they'll pause your award. I pulled out my phone. Derek laughed. Derek said, always recording. I said, always threatened. Mr. Lawson stepped out with a wrench in his hand. Mr. Lawson said, Derek, right? The boy with the expensive car and discount morals. Derek glared. Derek said, this doesn't concern you. Mr. Lawson pointed at the garage sign. Mr. Lawson said, my property, my employee, my cameras, it concerns me. Derek pulled an envelope from his pocket and tossed it onto the hood of the old pickup beside me. Derek said, $6,000. Sign a statement saying you moved the pencil case into Audrey's bag as revenge, not even full blame, just enough doubt. You still graduate, she gets a review. Everybody breathes. I looked at the envelope, then I looked at the garage camera above the bay door. I picked it up with 2 fingers and held it toward the lens. I said clearly, Derek Walsh offered me $6,000 to change my statement about the cheating setup. Derek lunged. Mr. Lawson slammed the wrench against the metal doorframe. The clang stopped him cold. Mr. Lawson said, next move decides whether I call your daddy or the cops first. Mike lifted his phone from behind the broom. Mike said, I vote cops. Daddy seems overused. Derek's face twisted. Derek said, you people love acting righteous because you have nothing. Dad's truck pulled in behind the SUV. Dad got out slowly, still in his work jacket. Dad said, we have enough not to bribe children in parking lots. Derek looked from Dad to Mr. Lawson to Mike to the camera. He grabbed for the envelope. I moved it behind my back. I said, evidence stays. Derek spat near the tire and got into his SUV. Dad watched him peel out. Dad said, that boy drives like consequences are optional. Mr. Lawson said, they were optional for him too long. We filed a police report that night. We sent the video to Principal Marsh, Dr. Levin, and the Scholarship Foundation. Ms. Keller from the foundation called me the next afternoon. Ms. Keller said, Ethan, we received the district's documentation. Your exam status remains valid, and your scholarship review is not negatively affected. I put the phone on speaker so Mom could hear. Mom covered her mouth. Dad stood by the sink and nodded once. Ms. Keller continued, "We also appreciate that you documented attempts to interfere with your standing." Mike, listening from my laptop on video call, whispered, "Scholarship lady likes receipts." Mom cried then. She tried to hide it by washing the same plate 3 times. The senior honors ceremony became the final public collapse. Audrey had been removed from the honors list. Derek had been removed from senior leadership recognition. I was still listed for National Scholar Finalist, Engineering Award, and Scholarship Recognition. Mr. Grant was not allowed to present. Ms. Harper presented instead. The gym filled with parents, students, and tension. Audrey came because regular attendance was still required. She sat near the back with her mother, eyes lowered. Derek sat with his father near the aisle. His face looked empty in a way that did not suit him. Principal Marsh opened with a statement about integrity. She did not say pencil case, she did not say cheating, she did not need to. Ms. Harper called my name for the academic award. The applause started polite, then grew. Mom stood, Dad clapped with both hands, Mike shouted, "Clear bag champion." His mother slapped his arm. I walked across the stage. Ms. Harper handed me the certificate and said quietly, "You protected your work." I said, "Thank you." Then came the surprise. Principal Marsh announced that the district had created an independent evidence review process for exam misconduct reports because of recent events. The students clapped louder than the parents. Everyone knew what that meant. False reports would not destroy another kid before review. When I stepped off the stage, Audrey stood from her seat and walked into the aisle. Mrs. Hart reached for her, but Audrey pulled away. She faced me in front of half the senior class. Audrey said loudly, "Are you happy now?" The gym went still. Principal Marsh said, "Audrey." Audrey ignored her. Audrey's voice cracked. Audrey shouted, "You got the award. You got everyone on your side. You got me kicked off everything. Are you happy?" I stopped at the foot of the stage. I said, "I'm cleared." Audrey cried, "You could have just given the pencil case to a teacher." I said, "You could have never given it to me." She had no answer. Derek suddenly stood. Derek snapped, "This whole thing is fake." He moved it into her bag. Mike stood too, holding up his phone. Mike said, "Want to watch the part where you texted her to make sure he had it, Mr. Walsh grabbed Derek's sleeve. Derek shook him off. Derek shouted, "You're all acting like he's some hero." He touched the evidence. He set the scene. Ms. Harper stepped to the microphone. Ms. Harper said, "The investigation reviewed that issue fully. The finding stands." Derek pointed at her. Derek said, "Of course you defend him. He's your little scholarship pet." The gym reacted with a sharp wave of noise. Principal Marsh said, "Derek Walsh, leave the gym." Derek laughed. "Or what, you'll write another report." Officer Lane, standing near the doors as security for the event, stepped forward. Officer Lane said, "Yes, and I'll help." Derek's father pulled him toward the exit. Audrey remained in the aisle, shaking. I looked at her. I said, "You gave me a trap and called it luck. I gave it back and called it evidence." Audrey covered her face and sobbed. Mrs. Hart led her out. No one laughed. No one needed to. The silence did more damage. Graduation morning came with hard sunlight and a clean blue sky. The football field had rows of folding chairs, a white stage, and a banner that said Westbridge Seniors. For weeks, I had wondered if I would reach that stage again. In another life, I had watched graduation clips from my bedroom while my name got dragged through comments by people who never saw the full story. In this life, I stood in line with my gown zipped, my cap straight, and my scholarship folder already confirmed. Mike stood behind me, cap crooked as usual. Mike whispered, "Do you think they'll check pencil cases at graduation?" I said, "You're not funny." Mike said, "The crowd disagrees." Audrey was not in the honors row. She still received a diploma, but no stage speech, no honor cord, no scholarship stole. Her top choice university had rescinded its early recommendation pathway pending conduct review. Her study brand was gone. Her apology video stayed pinned because her lawyer probably told her to keep it there. Derek did not walk. His father had pulled him from commencement after the bribe video reached the district board. Mr. Grant's seat on the faculty row was empty. Ms. Harper sat near the center, wearing a blue dress and the expression of a teacher who had fought a long week and won. Principal Marsh gave the opening speech. She said, "Achievement without integrity is not success. Pressure does not excuse betrayal, and evidence must matter more than rumor." Parents clapped, students clapped harder, names began, one by one. Seniors crossed, some smiled at me as they passed, some looked away, a few had apologized in the days before. I accepted the ones that sounded real. When my name came, Principal Marsh said, "Ethan Miller." Mom stood before I moved, Dad stood beside her, Mike's mother shouted too. I crossed the stage, Principal Marsh shook my hand and said quietly, "Congratulations. In good standing." That phrase hit deeper than applause. In good standing. Not suspended, not flagged, not ruined. I took the diploma. Cover, MS. Harper hugged me at the stairs. MS. Harper said, "Go do honest work." I said, "Yes, ma'am." After the ceremony, a local reporter stopped me near the fence. The pencil case story had spread far enough that people outside Westbridge knew my name for reasons I never wanted. Reporter asked, "Ethan, many students online are calling this the pencil case trap. What do you want people to understand?" I held my diploma in one hand and my scholarship folder in the other. Mom stood close. Dad stood with his hand on my shoulder. Mike hovered too close until his mother pulled him back. I said, "I did not ruin Audrey's future, I protected mine. She gave me a cheating device and expected me to carry it into a national exam. I documented it and returned the trap to the person who brought it." Reporter asked, "Do you regret not turning it over immediately?" I said, "I regret trusting her before that morning." "I don't regret keeping proof." Reporter asked, "What would you say to Audrey now?" I looked across the parking lot. Audrey stood beside her mother's car, holding a plain diploma envelope, no cords, no crowd, no phone in her hand. She looked at me once, then looked away. I said, "I hope she learns that pressure does not make betrayal smaller." Reporter asked, "And to students under academic pressure," I said, "fail honestly before you win by framing someone else." That clip traveled cleanly because it was short and true. That evening, Mom taped my scholarship confirmation beside my diploma photo on the fridge. Dad fixed the kitchen chair that had wobbled for years and said, "College boy needs a stable throne." Mike came over with a grocery store cake that said, "Congrats, Ethan." He claimed the bakery was my real enemy. We ate it anyway. 3 days later, the National Exam Board confirmed my score would advance to the finalist round. Audrey's exam disqualification became permanent. Derek's disciplinary record followed him to whatever private program his father found. Mr. Grant resigned before the district personnel review finished. The school forum moved on to summer jobs and freshman advice, but "check the pencil case" became a joke that would outlive all of us. I did not need Audrey destroyed forever. I needed her lie to stop before it wore my name. In one life, I carried her gift into the exam room and lost everything. In this one, I opened it, filmed it, gave it back, and walked through the gym doors with clear pencils, clean hands, and my future still mine.